3, 2, 1, and here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Planned Rambling Podcast. My name's Jake. This guy's Dylan. Will you talk about shit?
Sometimes.
But I love how
every 3 months.
The intro gets shorter and shorter every time. Because got to make up for lost time because, we might as well change the name of the podcast to the 3 months too late podcast.
Yep, pretty much. That's how it goes sometimes. Life happens. Get a little bit caught up. But hey, it makes it so that we have a lot to talk about on the next one.
Yeah, we have some backlog.
And boy, do we.
we have things to catch up on this episode. So we're going to try and keep to our main subject matter as much as possible.
Yes.
I will say,
but
though...
remember, this is the Planned Rambling Podcast, so you know what you're getting into.
Exactly. I will say, though, my favorite podcast, the Sardana Cast.
Right.
Wink, wink, guys, if you're listening. Big fan. Huh. They just uploaded a new episode of the podcast today, and they're talking about Suspiria. So we're not that late.
Not...
That movie came out in October last year.
Right, right. Yeah, but we're not that late. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Yeah.
And we do have plans for the future of this podcast.
Indeed.
There may be a slight format change, and we think it'll improve the quality of the show. And
we'll keep that a surprise.
Hopefully we'll also be able to keep to a more regular schedule after this point.
Yes. Our tentative plans are to just do it like once a month. Hopefully at near the beginning of every month, just so that we can keep some level of consistency for everybody. It's just... Yeah. I mean, obviously life happens. I have a newborn. Well, not a newborn anymore. I have an infant, I suppose. Makes things a little bit more difficult sometimes, but like I said, I mean, we can set aside the time should I be able to make it happen
often well. Almost opposite schedules.
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't help.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But anyway, we have three main pieces of subject matter today.
Indeed.
I would say that maybe we ought to go in order of when they happened, but I also think maybe we might want to go off of the most recent one because, relevance.
Yeah, it's fresh. Probably a decent idea.
Maybe, pull the not so sure viewers in.
Right, definitely.
So do you want to talk about E3?
Let's do it. Yeah, so E3 happened last week. It was E3. It was basically like, the video game, every video game company's commercial, other than Sony this year. As we know, they didn't attend. Mostly just because they honestly had nothing to show, really. And I think it's just because they kind of... And honestly, we'll get into it more, but I think that they were the smart ones this year.
Yeah.
By not showing up, just because we're so close to a new generation of consoles and platforms that... everyone is kind of like, oh, here's this stuff that's coming out, but we'll see you next year.
Yeah, it was basically the everything cool is coming out in 2020 E3.
Exactly. It was absolutely the year of 2020. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Because and there's still some exciting things to look forward to coming out this fall and stuff like that. September is obviously a packed month with Borderlands 3 and Destiny DLC, and we've got Jedi Fallen Order in November and stuff like that to look forward to. I'm sure there's many that I'm missing, but yeah, September through December is particularly a packed time of year.
Yeah.
But it seems like all of the heavy hitters are starting to come out and realize that springtime is actually okay too to release games in, particularly Cyberpunk. But
Cyberpunk. That's like...
Yeah. Do we want to talk about that? Since it's,
can I say who the winners of E3 were?
Yes. Does Keanu Reeves count?
Yes. Keanu and that adorable Japanese woman who did the
Yeah.
presentation for Ghost something. What was it called? That
It was the Square Enix project.
it was the best part of the Bethesda conference.
Or was it Bethesda or was it Square? Oh, it was Bethesda. You're right. I thought it was Square for some reason. No, you're right. You're right. What is it called? Was it Ghostwalker or something like that?
It's spooky.
I'll think of it. But you know what? Let me look it up. Bethesda Ghostwire. That's what it was called.
Ghostwire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Which
honest,
I mean, basically we know nothing about it. Like,
yeah.
They didn't show anything, but the presenter was likable. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, she was delightful. Yeah, she was a great winner of E3. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have seen the meme by now, like the E3 Holy Trinity or whatever. It was her, Keanu, and what was the other
dog?
One? Was it the dog? Yeah, John Bernthal's dog. But yeah, that was honestly like it's a little bit disappointing because this E3, in my opinion, just was kind of underwhelming. I felt like a lot of people there was some great stuff shown for sure, and Cyberpunk being one of the major highlights and stuff. But I mean, all in all, it just really just wasn't a lot. And like we kind of mentioned earlier, it's just every company is like, yeah, 2020, that's gonna be our time. Everything's getting pushed then, and particularly Microsoft. Kind of Funny Games kind of talked about this a little bit too. Shout out to another great podcast and them. But about just how like Microsoft had the opportunity to just go crazy, and just show some bonkers stuff. So no Sony, come out swinging, and stuff like that. And they just kind of didn't. Like they showed some cool stuff. They had some great games. They had Cyberpunk on the show as well, stuff like that, which was great. But like Cyberpunk was really early in the conference. And it really started off with a bang, and then the rest of it just kind of fizzled out like a wet fart, in my opinion.
Well, to be fair, it seemed to me I watched the Jimquisition E3 video this morning, and it seemed to me that Xbox did a pretty good job at making it about games, and they even showed a lot of like indie titles and stuff like that.
Definitely, and Microsoft has been getting really good about that. Like as
and
of
the
late,
whole
especially.
What was that? They had a thing about PC gaming that like everybody was pretty cool with.
Oh yeah, the Xbox Game Pass coming to PC.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was really cool, for sure.
I like that. I mean, heck. That might even be a reason I would actually use Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, for sure. I feel like that's a little bit unfair to say because Game Pass really is like an incredible thing. Like, it's one of the best things that Microsoft has done, that the gaming industry has done in years, like any part of it. Like, it's just such a cool, unique idea. I don't personally use it just because, I mean, I don't really have like the money right now for another subscription service, And just, there's just such a large backlog of games, but I would love to get in on it eventually.
Another shout out to Jim Sterling, and a point that he made that I agree with is that Nintendo would be making bank if they did the same thing with all the titles that they own.
Oh, absolutely. And why don't they? Like, they have the Nintendo, what's it called? The Virtual Console. And like that is like the perfect opportunity for them to just be like, here's all of our stuff.
Yeah, they could have a Nintendo Netflix, and everybody would love it.
I mean, I know I would pay for it.
Yeah,
that's for sure. I mean, my wife is a very big Nintendo fan for the most part as well. That's what she plays.
Right.
Zelda, some Banjo-Kazooie, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just for some reason Nintendo is just a little bit behind the 8 ball, but I mean, Nintendo is also one of the few companies that doesn't exploit their employees. Yeah, Nintendo will Nintendo. This is for sure.
So I didn't really watch any of it, but I was kind of baffled by how much of Ubisoft's conference was made up of Tom Clancy games.
Yep, that's just kind of their forte now. It's just
and Just Dance because we needed that.
Oh, did you watch the Just Dance?
I saw a clip of it.
Oh, bother. Yeah,
Oh
just I
God.
know. I know that Just Dance sells a ton of copies. It sells so much that they're still coming out with them on the Wii, like
That
the
was like
original Wii. But that's not what people that
that's
go to
insane.
E3 are there to see, you know? Like it's just
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
That was
when
like it was like the
stuff like that
most
just makes it weird.
cringeworthy like um live performance thing I've seen since DJ Khaled performed at the Overwatch World Cup.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Oh
That
man.
was so amazing, honestly.
Well, yeah, amazing is one way to put it, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, legendary. But I mean, to me, it seemed like Microsoft um, did all right, and
Yeah, no,
Nintendo.
and
It seemed like
yeah.
everybody was really happy with the things that Nintendo
Oh,
revealed.
for sure. Like I kind of lost my marbles when I saw Breath of the Wild 2 was coming out because like
Yeah,
I'm not surprised by it, but at the same time it's like it is kind of surprising. Like I don't know. It's tough to
it's the
describe
first time they've done that since what?
since Majora's Mask,
Yeah,
really. Like it's just
at least
yeah.
on a real home console game.
Yeah, like a direct sequel, you know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of nuts. Yeah, because Nintendo doesn't really, I mean, do Zelda sequels all that frequently. It's just,
Hmm.
yeah. But I
It's
mean, if they're
usually a
gonna make a
brand
sequel
new
of something,
thing.
oh man, Breath of the Wild is a great game to do that with. Yeah, that's one of my favorite video games of all time for sure. Um,
Oh, I would
but
love to
yeah, I
play it,
mean,
but
oh
you know,
yeah, it's so good. Please buy a Switch, and everyone listening, if you don't have a Switch, buy one. They're so good. It's such a great console. Um,
I believe it.
I know it's worth $300, if not more. But yeah,
Speaking of
honestly,
consoles,
like
I
yeah,
I my Xbox Live subscription is going to end in 5 days.
and you're not renewing it, right?
Nope, not this
Had
time.
a kid. Yeah,
I'm
that's right.
finally
PC Master Race.
finally
You're
cutting it out because
cutting the cord.
I don't need it anymore. It's
No, you do not.
it's like it's like an ex that like we had good things in the past, but we're not good for each other anymore, and we need
Yeah.
to just part ways.
Yep.
You know.
Exactly. Which is it's kind of sad to say that because like Microsoft is doing some truly great things, especially now. But like I also got to live the golden age days of the Xbox 360 and stuff like that. So I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, I definitely had a good time with.
Well, and now we're even entering a time where just about anything that's gonna be on the Xbox is also gonna be on the PC. So it's like,
Exactly, and I feel
if you
so it
have
feels
one,
pointless. Yeah,
why would you not?
and there's also reports coming out that like the PlayStation 5 is supposedly more powerful than what Microsoft has been talking about with their Xbox Scarlet, like the next generation of Xbox. You know,
Well,
so and if
honestly,
that's
that
true,
doesn't really surprise me
oh me neither. But like,
because I think that
I,
that's been the way it's been, like pretty much.
other than the X, yes.
Oh, really?
PlayStation has generally had the more powerful machines. But yeah, the Xbox One X right as of right now is the most powerful console on the market for sure.
Huh?
Um,
I
but
wouldn't have thought
yeah.
that. I would have thought it would have been the PS4 Pro.
Oh no, the Xbox One X just has purely better specs
Hmm.
than the Pro. Yeah,
Interesting.
but
I've been using the same clunky old original for
oh,
a
and I
while
did
now.
too, all the way up until I sold it.
Oh man.
There's no need for it anymore when you have a PC, in my opinion. I mean, well, not no need for it. I mean, everybody has their own preferences, obviously,
Hmm.
but yeah, for me, it's just yeah. There was no real point.
Yeah. I
But
will say, like, I still feel like Cyberpunk is the game that I'm most excited about. That I'm also worried that when it comes out, I'm not gonna have time for it.
oh yeah, that game is very big. It would appear. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just
It looks so
if it's
cool
anything
though.
close to The Witcher 3. I mean, The Witcher 3 has I mean, over 100 hours of gameplay easily, and it's also one of my favorite games of all time. And by the way, if you're looking at getting into it and worried that you're not going to like understand what's happening or anything like that, I firmly believe that you do not need to play the other Witcher games to understand what's going on and to have a good time. So keep that in mind.
I do have to, but I'm also like, if the gameplay is complete booty, then I might just skip it.
So I like 2 a lot. The gameplay, I don't think the gameplay is bad, but it's like definitely more complex than your average game that you might try and get into, But yeah, I really 2 story specifically is very good in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but as a complete package, like I don't know if there's a video game yet that has topped The Witcher 3 for me. It's just so good. I wish that I could experience that game for the first time again. Yeah. And I hope that I get something similarly like that with Cyberpunk, but
oh man. I feel like that could be a whole podcast subject unto itself.
What's that?
Games that you wish you could experience for the first time again?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I have some options. Yeah, that's for sure.
Speaking of transition. I don't even know where I was gonna go with that, but like,
hey, sometimes the best transition.
I guess I was gonna say. I guess I was gonna say like playing Halo for the first time again would be cool, but we're getting Halo 6 in the near future.
5 years later, by the time it comes out. Isn't that crazy? Halo 5 Guardians will have been out for 5 years by the time its sequel comes out.
Let's not talk about Halo 5.
Hey, Halo 5 has a baller multiplayer.
It has good gameplay. I like the gameplay.
But its story is
it's booty.
It's not great.
It's a stinky booty.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's like,
especially after following Halo 4. Oh man.
If you want another metaphor, it's like, it's like a booty that was very nice, but they let it go.
Yeah. Yep. You just have nothing but memories. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I still love Halo and Halo 5 specifically. I am very much looking forward to the Master Chief Collection being on PC. I will absolutely play that. But yeah, I mean, the Infinite trailer, it did everything that I would have loved, but it just didn't show gameplay, which is disappointing for me. But I mean, for a game that's a year and a half out, like I get it, but I guess I just kind of expected at least something, But
I thought it was all right.
Yeah,
it was obviously, like the animation and everything is amazing.
Right.
Production quality.
Oh yeah. If that's in engine, I am
impeccable.
In. That looks unbelievable. Yeah.
I mean, I remember thinking that the graphics and the cutscenes in Halo 4 were mind-bogglingly good back when that came out.
Oh yeah, so. back in 2012 when that came out.
But I mean, I feel like, you remember the teaser trailer and how that was basically absolutely nothing?
Oh yeah, totally.
And then this like didn't really reveal anything else that is really relevant to the story of the game.
It gave us kind of some more ominence, like, to it, like, I guess, just because it's a stranded Marine that's outside of a broken Halo ring, which is kind of interesting, I guess, but it's like, you don't really know what's going on there. It's just, I don't know. But, like, as far as invoking that Halo feel, I guess, I think that it did, like, a very good job compared to, like, past Halo experiences such as Guardians, but yeah, like, I mean, just down to the little music hints, of when he wipes off the window and it's the gong
done
of
you
Chief
only
just
need
sitting
the
out there.
one
It's
note.
like, yeah, it's true, because and that's, I think that was one of the biggest disappointments of Guardians, is that, like, they tried to introduce Locke as a character, and I'm not saying Locke was like a bad character. He wasn't great, but either way, he just wasn't what we wanted. Like, nobody wants a new character, like, everybody wants to stick with Chief, and I think that's fine, and like, the very fact that trailer focused so heavily on him, like, other than just the Marine, was such a good thing, and like, Chief had like 2 lines. He said status report, and then we need to fight, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's all we needed. That's it. It was so good.
That's very
and
chief
of
him.
course the dun 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 as the screen goes black. Like everyone, specifically Halo fans, but most people know that theme and how good it is and the emotions that it evokes. So
the music, like the original score for Halo, is one of the best scores of anything ever. I don't care what you say.
Absolutely.
It just is. Like, and I think Halo wouldn't even be as well regarded as it was or is if it hadn't had that score.
Like, definitely, it so enhances the experience like nothing else.
It's unforgettable. Like the fact that they can just play that one note, done, and like and you recognize it.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Holy shit.
Yep,
it's crazy.
And Halo is definitely one of those like titles that's very hard for me to be objective about. Yeah, like it's one of my favorite franchises of all time, and I just somehow like always manage to find the great things about it, even when the games are at their crappiest. Halo 5 specifically, but I just that trailer did. I mean, it was nothing, like you said, it was nothing, and it still got me so excited and antsy and like wanting to listen to the Halo soundtrack again and stuff like that, you know.
Speaking of a whole lot of nothing, Bethesda.
What?
Oh my god.
Dude, did you see that Fallout 76 is getting NPCs now?
They're getting NPCs and quest lines.
Dude, I really laughed out loud when I saw that, and people were excited.
And all the drunk employees in the crowd,
exactly,
losing
the drunk
their
employees.
minds.
I saw that coming out, but it's still just funny to me that everybody was just cheering stuff that like is supposed to be in a basic Fallout game.
In a finished game, like
it's just so weird. Like
I'm so glad I didn't get into that game because
me too.
It seems like one of the greatest disappointments in the last decade.
No kidding. I feel awful for the people that paid full price for that game, only to watch like a 30% discount on it a week and a half later after it comes out.
A week later.
Like, yeah, it's just crazy.
I think within like 2 weeks it was at $30.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Like, absurd. A 50% price drop in half a month. Oh god. Yeah, Bethesda has been making me sad. I think in that same Jim Sterling video, like he brings up a good point that I think is absolutely valid and kind of funny these days, that it's like all of Bethesda's good shit is the stuff that they aren't even making. It's all of their like stuff that's under them as a publisher. It's just so like kind of depressing, you know? It's just because Bethesda used to be like one of the greats with Elder Scrolls and Fallout.
I feel like they've had the same thing happen to them that happened to Valve.
And BioWare.
They just became so big that they didn't have to try anymore.
Right.
Except Bethesda still makes games, but they're embarrassing themselves now.
Exactly. It's just... I just don't understand, you know? I just don't understand. Like, they have such a clear... like, that's the biggest thing. I mean, we all know Elder Scrolls, like, hasn't been out... like, hasn't had a new game... like, a new mainline game, I should say, since Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which was 8 years ago. 8 years!
Game of Thrones started that year.
And I know. How crazy is that? Game of Thrones has finished in the time that it took like a new Elder Scrolls to come out. That's crazy. But like, I know that you want to do different things. I know that you don't want to be tied down and known as the developer that only does this, like only does Elder Scrolls Fallout.
But that's not what it's about.
I mean, it's been 8 years. And people love Elder Scrolls. People like kill for Elder Scrolls. It just make a new one. And I know they are.
They don't have to.
Why did it take so long?
They've been reselling the same game multiple times. and getting away with it because people will just buy it
Keep
again.
buying it.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm not guilty of this, but
Same.
it's
Honestly.
like I understand why they wouldn't really feel like they have to put out another one.
I haven't bought it yet, but I can absolutely see myself like one day soon, eventually buying Skyrim on Switch because that idea just sounds so appealing to me.
Yeah.
Like
That's probably
paying
that
handheld
almost
Skyrim.
sounds like aside from like the power of the PC and being able to mod, like if you were just talking about the vanilla experience, that seems like it would be the best way to play Skyrim.
Oh, absolutely. Like yeah, just playing it handheld. It's great. One day maybe Skyrim will be mobile once the
Oh my
phones can handle
god.
it. What
It
do you think
probably
happens first?
will.
Skyrim goes mobile, or they come out with Elder Scrolls 6? uh,
Once the what iPhone 15 is a thing or something.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, that's
And
probably
they
not even
remove
far off.
the headphone jack again, and yeah.
What about Starfield? That thing that
Ugh.
is supposed to be a whole new IP, and
Yep.
they're
On
making
a
it
new
with the
engine.
same engine. See, I heard it was the same engine, the same one that they've been using since Morrowind.
Oh, really? I thought that was supposed to be the first game that was on the new engine. I could be wrong, but
Well,
that's
if
what I
there's new
thought.
information that I haven't heard, maybe, but last I heard, they were making it with the same engine.
Why? It's just
Meanwhile,
that engine needs to
Obsidian is making a Fallout in space that's probably going
Yeah,
to be better than anything Bethesda's, put out in recent
right?
years.
That was another highlight of the Microsoft conference for me, is leading off with Outer Worlds. That actually does look really cool.
Yeah.
Um
And
and
it
I
looks
do
more
love me some
like
Obsidian.
it's going to have actual first-person shooter combat,
Definitely.
which was one of the things that turned me off to Fallout in the first place was that the
Yeah,
literal gameplay felt terrible.
yeah. Well, and so I went back, or I played Fallout New Vegas for the first time a few years back now, and loved it. Thought it was great. It was the first Fallout game I ever played. And then after that, I went back and tried to play Fallout 3, and man, I could not get through it. It was just not working for me.
Well, I
I don't
haven't
know what it is,
played
but
New Vegas, but isn't the gameplay mostly the same? It's just that the writing in New Vegas
for
is so much better.
yeah, the story in New Vegas is fantastic in my opinion. But yeah, the gameplay is largely similar. I don't think that they really changed too much between games.
Hmm.
Um, but uh, but yeah, I very much enjoy New Vegas. Didn't really get into 3 after trying New Vegas, but
Hmm.
and didn't play 4 at all. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Elder Scrolls is my jam, and it really does seem like you either prefer one or the other. But
Yeah. I don't know. Like, there's something I've loved Skyrim. Like, I've always liked Skyrim, but like for some reason, Fallout has never really clicked with me, both in the gameplay and the everything is brown
yeah,
aesthetic.
yeah, it's definitely a little bit like dreary and drab. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I could see why somebody would like the idea of that kind of world, but I feel like I've seen it done better in other places, like
For sure.
BioShock. Um,
Oh, BioShock.
Kind of a
Wonder
similar
whenever I
kind
get
of
it.
world, but like a lot more vibrant and
Yeah,
creative and colorful.
definitely. Have you ever played I know you've played Skyrim obviously. Did you ever play Oblivion?
I never did. No.
Oblivion is a good example of like another vibrant world. It's just very bright, very colorful. Because even
Hmm.
Skyrim is beautiful in its own way, but it's definitely a little monotone.
Yeah,
Um, but
like it's snowy all
yeah,
the time.
yeah, exactly right. There's not many variations in the environments, but yeah, I would absolutely 100% recommend Oblivion. Like I honestly believe that game still holds up. It's just so
Yeah.
good. It's the gameplay isn't quite as good as Skyrim, but I mean, again, they're never really known for their gameplay. It's just, but Oblivion's story is
The
just so
whole
good.
being immersed in a world aspect is really what
Yeah,
draws you in.
precisely.
And
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel like maybe CD Projekt Red is the new people that are taking that torch and running with it.
Oh, absolutely. And it kind of helps that they're like, hey, no microtransactions, no pay-to-win mechanics at
and
all.
No load screens. What?
Yeah, that is bonkers. I could not believe that when they said, like, just, how do you make a world like that where there's just no load screens at all?
And with the amount of detail that's in it, too, it's like, I don't even know how it's possible. Like, how are consoles going to play that game? Let alone
how are current gen consoles going to play that game? That's what blows my mind.
That's actually coming out on Xbox One and PS4.
Yeah,
that blows my mind.
Isn't that crazy?
Like,
I don't know how, but it's happening.
Oh my god, man! Oh, everything comes back to Cyberpunk.
I know. It's because it's the one thing that like stole the show entirely, you know?
Yeah. Oh.
Compared to everything else, Skyrim was just on a whole different level, I feel like. It's just it's just, did I say Skyrim or did I say Cyberpunk? I said Cyberpunk, but I don't know. We've been talking about
with that.
Yeah. But it's just I cannot wait for that game. It is absolutely my most anticipated game, period, right now. And I'm a massive
2020.
Halo. Yeah, I know.
Not this year.
It's 2020, but it's April of 2020, which is much earlier than I would have predicted it to be. You know, it's just
now that I think about it, I think the Halo trailer said it was coming out holiday of 2020.
Exactly. So. Yeah, and it's going to be released alongside Microsoft's new console, which hasn't been done since Halo 1. Yeah. So, which I think is a smart move, in my opinion.
Do you think that there's going to be a delayed release between the Xbox version and the PC version?
There could be. I think they would be smart to not do that if they can avoid it. But I
almost wonder if they would do it in like just to try and see if they could sell more consoles that way.
Oh, well, and that's the other thing too, in my opinion. Like, if they're going to sell it for, like, use it to sell an Xbox, and like the PC version is behind in development, like they will absolutely not the game as a whole just because the PC version is behind in development. Like that will not happen. They will absolutely use it as a console point or as a console selling point. So.
Yeah.
But.
Right.
But yeah, I'm interested to see how Halo Infinite will turn out. Yeah, this is the most video games we talked on the podcast in a while.
The world of video games can be frustrating these days, but I still can't help but be interested in, the progression of the medium, because it's always
definitely
it's always progressing somehow, whether it be good or bad.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think it's about to take another drastic turn, but that's like a conversation for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a collapse per se, but I do think that a lot of the gaming world's habits right now is just kind of going to fall in on itself at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways.
We mentioned Game of Thrones earlier. Oh, wait, no, we're not going to do that yet.
Oh, okay.
Because Endgame happened before that.
Yeah. You want to talk some Endgame? Oh, man.
I mean,
I wish
I enjoy talking Endgame. So
I wish that I had gotten to see it again before this podcast, but I didn't find the time, unfortunately.
I
only
saw it
once, and it was the day it came out.
3 times.
It is stuck in my mind.
And I cried every time.
Yep. Wait, how many times did you see it? Did you say 5?
No, 3.
5 times? Oh,
3
okay.
times.
I was like, still though, yeah. Oh, dude, no, yeah. Like I think
I cried more in the subsequent viewings than the first time.
I'm sure that I will too. And to be honest, I'm just, like I said, I'm just gonna throw this right out there and just get right to the point. Obvious spoilers for Endgame.
Spoilers.
Massive spoilers.
Holy
you haven't
spoilers,
seen Batman. Go away. The part where just the whole Avengers Assemble scene
Yes.
is is the first time that I have ever truly like cried watching a movie out of pure awe. It was just like I was just in awe of what was happening. Like I just could
Yeah.
not believe it. Like I was just a kid reading a comic book panel again. It was just so breathtaking and unbelievable to watch that play out on the big screen
Yeah.
and be good and be real and feel earned and feel like it was actually where this entire franchise was heading towards. And just
Yeah. I feel like I felt
yeah.
that even more like after my first time. Like I didn't quite cry, but like I watched that shot of like, every character in the Marvel universe running forward, and
Yeah.
like I like got kind of teary-eyed because it was just kind of like, I mean, I was in junior high when these movies started,
Oh
and
yeah, same.
they
I remember riding my
they
bike
came
to the theater with a friend to watch the first Iron Man movie because I couldn't drive.
and they came all this way for us to get to this moment.
Yep.
And it's just kind of like, it's hard to even imagine how they managed to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so much consistency, and the other thing too, just with the Avengers Assemble moment, like, I think it was the Screen Junkies, Dan Murrell over there talking about it, that I just wholeheartedly agreed with. That
Mhm.
like one of the things that made this moment like so great was that the showrunners, the writers, and the directors all like they knew better than us. They knew better than us because we could have gotten that line when the whole circular shot happened in the original Avengers movie, in Joss Whedon's movie.
Yeah.
We could have gotten it then. We all would have freaked out. We would have freaking loved it. It would have been great.
Hmm.
We all could have gotten it at the end of Avengers Age of Ultron, and we all would have been happy, and cool. But the
Yeah.
writers and directors knew that we didn't want it until that moment.
Yeah.
Like that moment was like the moment to end all moments for the series. And like honestly, I am scared to death of the future of the series because I don't know how you can get better than that. Not saying that they need to, but like how do you even make something as good as that? It's just
I think it's like, it's going to take at least another 10 years. They got to just let the excitement die down a bit. And then
definitely.
they're going to have to do something, at least like on par, like, or at
It
least
has to
close to
be
it,
now.
like.
Now that they have Fox, I feel like it has to be Doctor Doom, right? It has to be. Like he's by
I've
far the
heard,
most
yeah, people
like the
saying
biggest
the
overarching like
Secret
just
Wars.
badassery in the comics. Like he's just such a cool character, an interesting character who still hasn't been done right on the big screen.
Yeah.
Like he'd be the perfect fit. But I don't know. I digress. It's yeah.
As a person who has not really read much comics myself, I've never had the Fantastic Four proven to me to be cool.
Oh
So
man, that's sad.
I've always thought like, well, I'm still waiting for them to show me why I should care about this franchise.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the first two were I enjoyed them when they first came out, but I was also a very small child when that happened, and I recognize that they're kind of bad. And
yeah,
and then I still haven't seen Fan Four Stick, and I
don't.
refuse to.
It's not
Yeah,
even an enjoyable kind of bad. It's just a like exceptionally boring kind of bad.
right.
Like,
Which is even worse. Like, if you're gonna be bad, at least be enjoyable. Like
yeah.
entertaining to watch. But if you're gonna be bad and like just like making me sit there yawning the entire time, checking my watch, like just then you're doing it wrong.
That was the only time that I remember ever having in a theater where I was almost about to fall asleep because I was so bored.
Yeah,
I
that's really
literally,
bad.
I at one point, I got to a point where I was like, so like, oh my god, this is terrible. I'm bored out of my mind. I hate this. That I like just started staring at the seat in front of me for like a straight 30 seconds or
Hoping
so.
that it would just end.
Yeah. Oh man, but
That's rough.
But yeah.
Anyways, we were talking about Endgame, a good movie.
Yes. You know, I do love that Avengers Assemble part, but I think for me the part that I nerdgasmed the hardest at was the Mjolnir Captain America part.
Dude.
Like,
yeah,
and it wasn't. Yeah. It was like I had the perfect environment for it too, because I was like surrounded by people who were as into it as I was.
Same, yeah.
Like
my entire theater erupted.
Yeah, it was like the three rows in the back of the theater, and we like Thanos got hit in the back of the head, and then just as it started stopping and going back the other way, I myself and everyone else around me did this. Oh my God!
Yep. Because you knew at that moment, like everyone knew, because that was a story thread that they had set up that they you knew had to be paid off, because they wouldn't have done that not deliberately. Like it was just oh man,
one of the most satisfying Captain America, man.
Oh, what a great character!
One of the most complete character stories I think I've seen in a franchise of this scope.
Definitely.
Him and Tony, just they really concluded their stories about as well as you could have hoped for. I feel
for sure. Yeah. And it just, I honestly don't think that the movie could have done any better. Like I know it's feels weird to say that about a movie. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely a fanboy when it comes to Marvel and stuff like that. Like I'm not a shill. Like I still can critique and recognize something that's not good, but it's just so hard to imagine how they could have done that movie better.
Yeah.
I just,
in a perfect world.
Yeah.
in the world that we live in, I think we're pretty fortunate that that this, I mean, I would even say, and I don't think this is a controversial opinion. I guess maybe it would be with some people, but I would say that Infinity War is a better movie. But
definitely,
Endgame is a cultural monument that there is no other thing like it.
Definitely, and you and I have kind of talked about that too. I still think I need to watch Endgame again just to see which one I actually do like better. Mm-hmm. And as of right now, I think it's just very close, but it's still Infinity War just a little bit. And I think it's just because what that movie does in terms of subverting your expectation, even when you know what's going to happen. Yeah, it just does such a good job of stuff like that. And I don't know. and Thanos as a main character is just, because he is the main character. Infinity War is his movie.
And Thanos is just I think Thanos is the most iconic villain that we've gotten in popular culture since Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
He's on that kind of status.
Yeah. Especially in Blockbuster. It's just the combination of Josh Brolin's work with him, the character ideology as a whole, who he is and stuff like that,
and the amazing visual effects artists too.
Oh yeah, and that was the unbelievable,
the probably underpaid visual effects artists.
Oh my, seriously, it's just astounding that they could do something like that.
Yeah,
and even in Endgame, I thought because you see it in Infinity War, obviously Thanos is tough and fights very well and stuff like that, obviously, and just is badass, but you don't really get that in full scope until you watch him all out ruthlessly fight hand to hand with his badass batlift sword thing.
Yeah.
Thanos is a badass, man, and he's a bad man. He just
he's a bad daddy.
Yeah, he's a bad man. And just the way that he's animated, that they can make a pure CG character seem so alive and real is just
it's
absolutely
you
incredible.
Believe it the whole time. It never felt like there was a moment where I was taken out of it because of it's how fantastical it all is, and how most of it isn't even real stuff happening on the screen, but it's done with such finesse that it's like you're
Yeah.
just in the moment. And that's all I really want from a movie like that, because you could nitpick it all day. There's definitely
Definitely.
flaws that I totally see how some people
Oh,
could, that could like hurt the experience for them.
for sure. I mean, there's all
But
the time
like,
travel stuff, that's not quite. Which I do think overall they did like as good a job as they could with something like that. But yeah, like the time travel stuff can absolutely be.
yeah, it's like if you think about it too hard, then yeah, it kind of falls apart in some aspects. But like, I think that this is one of those times where they used the plot device in order to provide an emotional high, and
Right.
I think that they made the emotional high so intensely satisfying that you kind of can, at least as a fan of the franchise, I can forgive the
Yeah.
plotting consistencies.
Well, and that's the other thing too. It like as long as it has like a good story, like because plot and story are two. I mean, as you know,
Yeah.
are two very different things. And if the plot devices, such as the time travel stuff, are so incomprehensible and outlandish that you can't suspend your disbelief enough to like accept that something like that could be a reality, it's like
Hmm.
then sure, that's when we have a problem. But in the terms of Avengers, like I mean, it's just such a like the time travel is a tool to get the Avengers to all of our best of moments, kind of. And I'm
Yeah.
totally fine with that. Like it's,
Sorry, you
I mean,
you roboted
yeah.
at the perfect moment there when you said tool.
Oh,
It
did
was kind of
I?
funny.
Ironic.
But
Um,
uh,
but like, I mean, Captain America fighting himself, like, didn't know I
yeah.
wanted that in a Marvel movie, but I got it. Noob Master 69 is always great.
And I think that this was the best that Ant-Man has ever been.
Definitely,
Like,
dude. That
I
rat
loved him in this
saved the
movie.
entire Marvel universe. Think about it.
The what?
The rat that
Oh
stepped
yeah.
on the car. That...
The rat that saved the universe.
Yep.
Oh man. With the yeah, like the story element of it, was really where it shined in that,
Oh,
they had all these characters and they all, you know, I know that some people weren't totally satisfied with where some of the characters were taken and how some of them ended up, and you know, I can see some of the criticisms, and I can see where they're coming from, but I also feel like in the parts where it really mattered for me, I think that I was satisfied with it.
definitely,
Like,
absolutely, yeah. And it still managed to, because, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Like we all know that the Avengers are going to win in the end. We just didn't know at what cost or like they would get there, stuff like that.
yeah,
And genuinely, I was shocked that Black Widow died. Shocked. Like I could not
yeah,
believe it. And like they subverted us again. Like we all thought it was gonna be Hawkeye, all of
yeah,
us,
twice
and
now.
twice. Yeah, they did it again. It's just
And I know some people were
Marvel.
disappointed with that, but it at the end of the day, like
It made more sense in my
it
opinion.
was the
It's
most
just
logical, like satisfying end for her character, that she would be able to sacrifice herself to save the world, to make up for the things that she felt that she had to make up for her past. Like, she had talked more than
def-
once in the past movies about how she wanted to wipe the red off her ledger, and it was like, if there was any way that she could have done that, it was this.
yeah,
Saving,
absolutely.
half the universe, if not all of it.
I'm
Like,
actually very interested to see like how they take her prequel movie into account. Like how does that work?
yeah.
Is it? I mean, not pre. Is it a prequel? Do we even know it's a prequel?
Oh, I'm
I meant
sure
her,
it's a prequel.
her solo movie, but yeah, like I'm just very interested
They
to
are
see what they
getting
do with
really
that.
good at de-aging effects.
Definitely. One of the things that I'm curious about, though, is that it seems like Marvel doesn't really make movies without purpose. So it just would feel weird to me to like have something like that that's just kind of disconnected from everything. Because like even
Yeah.
Captain Marvel, which was like close to a standalone lecture as you can get, like was still connected to the greater universe,
Right.
So
I mean, I'm sure that they'll find some way to work something in there that will be relevant to something else in the future, but I would like to I like the idea of them maybe experimenting with doing some smaller stories that aren't necessarily galactic in scale, like that's just like a cool story. And that's something that I actually like the idea of the streaming series that they're going to be making with like
the
with
Loki and
Falcon and Winter Soldier and Wanda and Vision.
WandaVision. What a name, right?
Well, I guess that one is like supposed to be what happened in between Civil War and Infinity War, which was like a 2 or 3 year gap or something.
Right.
In that time, they fell in love, like...
Right. Which I can buy that, but it's just gonna it's gonna be interesting. I don't know. I
just don't know if I want to pay for another thing, but.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna pay for another thing. Disney streaming service with the infant child. Are you kidding me?
If they're bringing back Daredevil,
easiest money I've ever spent.
If they bring back Daredevil, that's a good way to get me.
Yeah, why wouldn't they, right? I mean, God, that series ended on such a ridiculously high note, if that's the truth. Like, if that's, like, actually what's going to happen. But, good Lord. I mean, what a freaking movie. Or TV show, I mean. It's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, though. Anyway.
Insane. Yeah, I think I kind of got that idea from... Because I remembered Patrick Willems did a whole, like... multi-part series about the Marvel Universe, and I liked one of the points he had about that, sometimes in the comics they'll just take time to tell a small story that doesn't really have anything to do with the larger narrative, just because, small stories can often have some of the most emotionally resonant stuff in it,
Absolutely. I mean, Spider-Man is a good example of that. Like, he has a lot of those.
Yeah. For sure. So, I'm invested in the Marvel Universe. They've got me, but I mean, I don't know how much longer they'll be able to. I mean, unless they just get better, just like
they have to keep innovating on the formula, like, I mean, it's just because one day eventually what we're seeing is going to get old, like we can't really have, I mean, even though I do like Doctor Strange was going to be my example, like I do like Doctor Strange as a movie, but I recognize that it's kind of just like, just exists within the Marvel universe. It's just not, there's nothing like too special about it or anything. Captain Marvel is another good example.
I really like what DC is doing right now.
Who's that?
DC.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Marvel will ever go in completely that direction, but like, I like that DC is willing to just make interesting movies with these characters that they have the rights to. Like this Joker movie is completely its own thing, and it looks like an art film.
Yeah.
Like, I love it.
Yeah, and I heard nothing but good things about, like, Shazam especially. I heard Aquaman was fun. I still haven't freaking seen it, but I need to.
Really? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Aquaman.
Yeah, I heard Aquaman was just silly, but that it was fun.
Yeah.
Which is fine with me. I like a good, silly, fun movie.
It's like, if you like Fast and Furious, you'll like Aquaman.
Right. I do like Fast and Furious.
Oh, and I'm looking forward to that new spin-off movie with Jason Statham and The Rock.
Oh yeah, what is it called? Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw. I think the Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. That's what it will say on IMDb.
I still haven't seen Fate of the Furious.
Oh my god. Do it. It'll make your life better.
I know. I need to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, Avengers, man. It's like, how much more can we say
What?
without like
I was gonna
going
say,
into
what more
every
can you
individual
say?
detail of the movie? You know, it's like it's probably it's like,
It's just so good.
and it's like, you know, even with all its flaws, it did about as much as you could have hoped for a end to a massive story arc. You know, almost feels like
Oh,
the end of the franchise, but you know, we all know that it's not that. But it,
definitely. Like I said, I actually can't think of a way that they could have. It's just that good.
and I'm very happy that, you know, that Captain America and Tony Stark got to have, you know, full complete story arcs by the time that they exited the franchise. You know,
Me too. Yep,
it's
they did
like
them right.
the only like things that I can think of to compare to it are some of my favorite endings to long running series. You know, or like multi season series, like, you know, like Avatar: The Last Airbender or Full Metal Alchemist or
Uh,
something like that. You know, like it's an anomaly in the
uh, and
Hollywood
and
sphere.
and that's a whole other subject. There is a lot of similarities you can draw between the Avatar: The Last Airbender and Avengers Endgame worlds.
Yeah.
It's just in terms of how the overall story structure works and how like the overarching plot serves itself and just all the
Hmm.
characters and their progressions throughout multiple years, it's
Right.
yeah, good shit.
Good.
Both of them, it's good stuff.
Good shit.
Well,
Well, um, depending on your view, what we're about to talk about might not be good shit.
yeah, it's gonna be pretty polarizing.
Game of Thrones ended.
Yep, it
The,
ended.
the the series on HBO uh, could have been, you know, I think by many people's standards, at least for a good while, it was considered one of the greatest shows of all time.
Yep,
I would agree with that. Um,
I still think it's one of the greatest shows of all
I would
time.
I would say that, like, you know, as a whole, I still think that you can't discount everything else that came before by
Yep,
the ending not quite being, you know, as good as it could have been.
and it wasn't, in my opinion. Like I am
Yeah.
one of the I would say that I'm one of the defenders of the ending, just of
Hmm.
like the whole last season as a whole. And it's
Yeah.
still like I will never argue that it could have been so much more and probably
Right.
needed to be so much more than it was.
Like seasons more, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
probably two or three more at least.
And that's like one of the major disappointing things is learning that the showrunners could have had as much time as they wanted and they
Yeah.
chose not to.
That's
That just
something
seems
that
strange
really
to me.
confuses me because I know that they were the ones that were the showrunners from the beginning, but I'm kind of surprised that HBO would let that happen. That they would just be
My
like, "Well, if you don't want to do it, okay." You know, instead of just
so my
hiring somebody else
tentative
that would, like,
Mhm.
I don't know. It seems like that's a no-brainer thing, right? Like it's
My
their
tentative
franchise.
theory is that they wanted to that at least for the writers' sake, they wanted to get started on Star Wars as soon as possible.
Well, yeah,
And that's why they didn't finish.
I know what happened with D&D. You know, they just wanted to do something new. They
Yeah,
they've been doing this show for almost a decade. I could see how they would, and you know, doing an adaptation, you know, of mostly material that already existed, you know.
right.
Whereas
Yeah.
I think with this new Star Wars, what is it, a trilogy of movies that they're being hired for, uh, it would be, you know, even though it's under the Star Wars name, it would be new stories.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
And
and
so I could see
yeah,
why they'd feel that way, but I kind of feel like they screwed everybody else.
And to be honest, I will maintain the fact the broad strokes of season 8, like all of the not what happened, but the problem, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
the everything else in season 8, like as far as like what happened, I actually really enjoyed, you know? I mean, like Bran becoming king kind of made sense to me. I just wish that we had more of like a setup to get there.
So
Uh
okay,
Daenerys.
here's one of the things. That's one of the things I feel like I'm not sure if I completely support.
Right.
I understand logically why he could maybe, he would make sense as a good ruler, but they also, at a certain point in the past in the show, I believe there was a line where Bran said to somebody, I can't be a ruler of anything."
Yeah, well, only because he
And
can father no children, though. That was the main thing, at least. But
but I feel like, as far as the story is concerned, I kind of feel like it should have been Sansa. Like,
that'd have been interesting. Yeah, I could have gotten on board with that.
she's the one that, has probably made the biggest progression as a character, and she's shown that she's a capable leader, and
Right.
it would, and I think the feminists might be onto something, that the way that they ended it kind of wasn't a great look. That, like, both of the
Right.
powerful female leader characters were either made to be a crazy bitch, or, you know a a, a good character who lost her mind because of her emotions. you know
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
where
Even
it's like,
if Daenerys specifically, her actions made sense to me, um, I just think that it might have needed a little bit more time to get there again.
yeah, I mean, I'm
Like I
totally
said, it's just
okay
they
with
just
where
needed
they
more
went with
time.
her character. It's just, yeah, like, it needed to be developed more. It needed to be built up more in a way that, you know would have made it feel like not such a complete heel turn.
Definitely, yeah.
Um,
And I
Even
think
though I
that what
saw it coming, it was like, it was only because of, like, the directions that the story could have gone at that point in the show.
right. And I do think that like their direction with that was solid as far as like knowing that that was like the logical next step and just all of the setup that they've done throughout seasons for it. But like when it like literally just flipped a switch in her mind, like that was where it became jarring. Like not that it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
set up throughout multiple seasons, sure, but it like wasn't set up for her, if that makes sense. Like it just
Right.
it's hard to just it's hard to explain, I guess, but
I I now I know we said, like, it should have taken a lot more, episodes and seasons of the show to get to that point.
yeah.
But I do think, if all things were the same, except for one thing, I think something that would have maybe improved upon that turning point in episode 5, would be if Viserion hadn't died in the previous episode,
Right.
and
Yeah, we
instead
talked
they
about that
took the
kind of.
city,
Yeah.
they rang the bells and surrendered, and then one of the archer operators that, they missed somehow, shot and killed Viserion right there on the
Right.
spot. And then she just, in the moment, in that, like, moment of rage, loses it. But
Yeah.
I mean,
And that would have made more sense in my opinion. I think that by out of all of like the like solutions that I've seen for people like trying to make excuses for Daenerys's behavior and stuff like that. Like that is probably the best one that I've seen because I think we all would have bought it a little bit more for like as far as the in the moment decision, not like the massive character like choice per se, but like just the in the moment. Yeah, like I'm so pissed right now that I'm just gonna burn it all down. Like, and
you'd have to be pretty pissed.
Oh, for sure. And I would have been too, but
as far as like some other things that I think could have been better, I did. Now I know a lot of people were really interested in the Night King and what his deal was, and to be honest, for me, I didn't care that much about the motive really of the Night King, but. And I do think maybe the, kill the one guy and the entire army, thing isn't like one of the best ways to end a conflict. But I do think it would have been made a bit better if Arya still killed him, but she used her face-stealing powers to do it. Like, imagine if he walked up to Bran and it turned out it was Arya, and she killed him.
Right.
Because, they gave her all this stuff with that training, and she became a faceless man, or, whatever it was called. This assassin who could steal people's faces, and she didn't use any of that in this last season.
And I don't know if I would have liked it if she would have done it with the Night King per se, but, like, the fact that she didn't use it at all season, that was kind of strange to me.
Well, and I feel like doing it with the Night King would have maybe, made it make a little bit more sense as to why she would have been the one to kill the Night King. Because, like, no one else would have had that ability.
Yeah, and I do think that, like, as a whole, like, I bought her killing the Night King, like, just, like, that didn't make sense to me, like, that she was truly the only person that could have done it because you can't fight him in a brute force manner, and like I totally get that, but it's still like I don't know. It felt like a conflict that came and went. Like I think another suggestion that I saw that would have helped the season a lot. The first 3 episodes of this season would have been a great end to last season, and then just add 3 more episodes on to season 8, like or even more, to kind of set up the whole Cersei conflict as well.
Right.
And I do feel like that might have made a little bit more sense, but
as it is though,
there's a lot of things they could have done.
Yeah, there were. At the end of the day, it's just that there wasn't enough time to do the amount of things that needed to be done. Definitely. In a way that didn't feel forced. But, maybe certain things could have been taken in some different directions, but I still did feel like, and I know that this has been said before, but the production of the whole thing is still amazing.
Oh, yeah. The filming, the cinematography, like, all of that was just absolutely incredible. Like, some of the best work in the entire series. Which makes it all more disappointing. I still think that the best battle
was in season 6.
With Battle of the Bastards, yeah. Yes.
One of the greatest achievements of filmmaking.
Right. Dude, the White Walker, the Night King, the battle with the Night King, though, the Long Night episode, for me was just,
it was suspenseful.
Absolutely unbelievable. Just had so many incredible shots.
Oh, yeah. Like, and like, I mean, the episode where Dany went nuts.
Right.
Like, watching the parts where, even if maybe it's not entirely believable, the parts where Arya was running through the city while everything was being destroyed was like, it's like, how did they even do that? Like, how? How do you do that?
Yep. And they definitely went with a lot more visual storytelling this season because they kind of had to. Like, they just didn't have enough time to delegate to all the characters.
Yeah.
So, they just kind of...
I kind of like
pleased with the filming, for sure.
A on a slight tangent, I kind of liked that, and in the end, because I know this was like a theory that some people actually had in real life, that Sam proposed democracy, and
Right.
and they all laughed at him.
Yeah,
Like,
they laughed at him,
because
dude.
it's like, as much as it makes sense to us, it's like there's no way that they would agree to that. Like,
No, nobody would. And yeah, I just love that Royce was the one to laugh about everything, and just like everybody was like, "Are you crazy? What do you think this is?" Like should we let everybody else do it too? Should we let my horse get a vote? Like, I just
yeah.
it gave me a good chuckle.
Uh, yeah.
But
Game of Thrones, man, it's like I think I still enjoyed a lot about this last season, and I will say the I think the part of the last episode that got me the most emotional was the part between Arya and Jon. Like,
definitely,
that was
yep,
like that's that's that character connection that the show has always had. It's always
right.
been about the characters.
I still one of my favorite shots in any of Game of Thrones now is just Drogon burning the throne and everything that symbolizes for the show, for the characters, for Drogon himself. Like, it's just,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm
I
I'm a
know
little
that's
I'm
like
still
kind
a
of
little
weird,
bit iffy
but
on that one because I don't know if they ever established dragons to be that smart.
well, they do in the books at least, and I think they do talk about it in the show that like dragons have like a special connection to their riders specifically.
Yeah.
And
I
but I
I
don't
can
know how much
see
they go
I
into it.
see
But
I can see like what it means and all that, and I get why it would be
yeah,
cool, but I think personally that's one thing that, like, I think plot wise kind of took me out of the moment a little bit. It's like I don't know if I completely buy that.
yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
where like it's but it was like, it was a thing that it was kind of like it had to be done. But see, the problem I have with that particular aspect is that they just elected a new king anyways, and it
Right.
doesn't really solve the problem of
Of the monarchy.
people going, of there being a king and then people trying to overthrow the king. And that's basically all Game of Thrones has ever been, is someone being king and someone else wanting to be king instead.
I think that's the
So,
biggest thing that they did do, though, is that like they did, like, Daenerys truly did break the wheel, just not in the way that we all thought. Of like, she, because of her actions, it caused everybody else to be like, okay, the whole like monarchy ruling because of like just the next in line is not working, and we need to develop a new system to make that to like in its place.
yeah.
And that's what they did with like the election, as much as it was like maybe non-traditional and just kind of a weird way to like go about getting there. Like, it still made sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the only part is like once, once heirs come into the equation, then
Right.
like new kids that they're like, I didn't make that agreement, like, but
I guess.
it's like one
if they
could
grow
hope
up in that world, though, are they going to care?
yeah, one could hope that they would, abide by the rules and
Right. You would
live
think.
honorably. I Let's see. Let's talk about where some of the characters ended up at the end.
Yeah.
I liked where Tyrion ended up. I kind of think that he could have had
he's
more
basically
good
king
stuff
now.
before that point, but I like where he ended. It
Right.
seemed fitting for him. I just wish he had had more of those awesome moments that he had, like, in the first 4 seasons.
For sure. Yeah. I still think that my favorite place that a character ended up, even if, again, the way that he got there was just a little bit weird, was John. Like, it made sense for John to end up in the North again with everybody. It was where he was truly happy. It's where he always wanted to be. But the only thing that I didn't like was, like, you know, John had to go to the North because all the Unsullied were pissed and didn't want him to be alive. So the compromise was like, oh, he's going to get banished to the Wall, you know, even though we don't technically need the Wall. But then the Unsullied just left. So it's like, what's to stop John from coming back down, I guess, other than his honor, you know? But it's just kind of, that was strange to me.
But it still was kind of like, it was where he belonged. He, you know, he liked that lifestyle. He liked those people. He liked living up in the North. It's where argue. I mean, it's hard to argue with if you're, you know, like me with my giant brain. That, you know, his true love was Ygritte.
Right.
Because she was like so cool. She was such a great character.
Oh yeah.
And they were, you know, they worked well together. But yeah, and Ghost got his pets. So
yes, he did.
That was important.
Everybody was so angry. Man. And the writers had a plan for that all along.
Yeah.
Or at least something.
Yeah, it was like they wanted us to be upset so that they could make us happy.
Yeah, so they could bring it back around.
I liked where Arya ended up. It felt fitting for her.
Same. Possible spin-off series.
I will say I'm not a fan of the spin-off idea.
You aren't.
As much as Arya is one of my favorite characters in the whole show, I don't like the idea of just being like, hey, more Game of Thrones, but now we don't have, like, you know, any actual, like, real direction that we're going in anymore.
Isn't that part of the fun, though? Because other than prequels, like they obviously have the prequels, but like Arya's spin-off is like the one thing that they could do that could be like different and new, you know, like where we don't know the eventual outcome, I guess. Other than maybe like something like Doom of Valyria, I guess, just because none of us really know how that ends.
I'm just wary of spin-offs because I don't often trust them to live up to the potential of what they came from.
Definitely. And that is a very valid concern.
I know that there are some exceptions. Like I've heard that I've only watched the first season, but I've heard everybody's loving Better Call Saul.
Yeah, I haven't really watched that either, but yeah, I've heard the same.
But I feel like that doesn't happen that often. But, you know, I like the idea of, you know, Arya sailing off into new territories.
Going wherever she may go.
Just like, yeah, being a wanderer like she always has been, you know, like...
That's fair.
And being a lone wolf. She's always done her own thing, you know. Yeah, I already touched on Sansa. I think... I mean, I like that they gave her something, but I still think that she probably should have, as far as like the satisfying, like what would have been more satisfying for the story, I think Sansa would have been more satisfying. I think that the only reason that they chose Bran was because it was unexpected. And I think it was for the worse, honestly.
And maybe they did have an overarching plan of some kind, but yeah, that is true. It definitely felt like this will be something nobody will see coming.
And there may have been reason for that. I don't know.
Yeah,
it wasn't the worst decision. I didn't hate it, but you know, I kind of felt indifferent about it, and that's not really how I want to feel.
Yeah, you want to feel completely satisfied at the end of a massive series. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked that Sam was there. I don't know if the politics of him being the Grand Maester makes complete sense. But I like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that worked exactly, but
I like Brienne. Brienne had a good story.
A lot of people didn't like that ending for her and Jaime.
Well,
but
the stuff with Jaime, left some to be desired. But everything with her before that, like with the scene where she got knighted was probably one of the most
great.
emotional scenes in the whole season. Like,
definitely, it was fantastic. That episode actually was very good. The night before the long night.
Yeah. I saw some, like, this was before all the hate for this season started happening. And I saw somebody, I think it was Ragtag on Twitter, he said that he thought that the first 2 episodes were boring. and I replied back, it's okay to be wrong. But
nice.
And then the rest of the season happened, and it, well,
they weren't as wrong as before.
They weren't as wrong. Yeah. But I still liked the taking the time with the characters, before they were gonna, get to all the craziness after that.
Definitely. Even if not a ton came of it, but yeah.
Yeah. If nothing else, Brienne got a complete story arc.
Definitely.
I mean, a number.
Finally.
The Hound. Even if, it wasn't the most elegant of endings, but I liked it.
Yeah. I can take it.
It was like,
I can dig it.
It was pretty it was pretty crazy. It was a pretty crazy fight. Like, I was honestly like, man, he's so outmatched here.
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost crazy how outmatched he was by his zombie brother.
And holy hell, what a shot, man, of looking up at the staircase with the dragon burning everything overhead. Oof.
Oh, yeah.
Like, damn.
Damn, son. Yeah, there was some of the cinematography and shots and effects and all that, like, with the visuals coming together. There was just some really amazingly put together sequences.
Yep, you can't fault the filmmaking in this season, that's for sure. It's some of the best that's ever been, in my opinion.
Yeah, very striking visuals. It's just unfortunate that I don't think it's one of the worst endings to a great show ever.
Dexter would like to have a word with you.
But it's unfortunate that a show that had been as great as it was, couldn't have...
Had to fizzle out a little.
Yeah, like, couldn't have ended on its highest note, or at least, like, close to it.
Definitely.
But...
Yeah, it just didn't... Yeah, like, everybody wanted it to end a certain way, and I understand that you're going to piss off some people no matter what you do, just by nature of how you're going to, end something that's that massive and spanning across multiple years. And
yeah.
But I definitely feel like they could have done a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just, hey guys, just, like, find somebody who's competent, who cares about it, and let them do it for you. Just...
Yep.
What's interesting to me is that I'm usually the one that's saying that a season or a show needed to be a lot shorter, and this is a rare case where I think it needed to be significantly longer.
Absolutely. Like, 2 to 3 seasons more, I feel like, would have done some good for it, for sure.
Yeah. It's an interesting case.
No
I think I heard somewhere that George R.R. Martin, like, years ago, said that he thought that there for what existed and what he had in his mind, that hadn't been written, there could have been 12 seasons.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about, actually, but...
That's a lot of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. But yeah, I still love it. I'm still, very glad that I've seen it. It's
still one of my favorite shows of all time.
Some of the greatest things that I've seen on television, or even, even in the realm of movies, is in that show,
Yep.
Like,
some of the greatest media in history.
Some of the best characters, some of the best world building, some of the best action sequences, even some of the best like cinematography work. Like it's just, and obviously special effects. Like there's nothing else that's really, done what Game of Thrones has done as a television series. It's never it's like at the top of the pack for its ilk.
Right.
Until something else comes along with as grand of a scale and then ends it better.
Like, TV show wise,
yeah,
there's actually nothing that I could think of right now that's gonna be,
another case where it's like probably not for a very long time.
Yeah. Oh, Game of Thrones.
Well,
I love Game of Thrones.
To avoid ending on a kind of depressing note.
Sure.
I've got
not all the way depressing, but
not all the way. Just a little bit depressing,
Yeah, a little disappointing for sure.
I would like to touch on that I watched the first episode of the next half. I don't even think it's another half. It's only, I think, 10 episodes, but the next part of season 3 of Attack on Titan.
Oh God!
I want to watch
it so bad.
Episode of it, and oh my God, man, this hype train never ends.
Yeah, I need to watch it that
never
bad, huh?
Stops chugging. I mean, most of the episode isn't action, but then, holy shit, when stuff happens, it sure happens, and then it's like, all right, next week, baby. You're right. Like, no!
And you still only watched that one episode, right? And there's 2 more.
I'm a filthy dub watcher.
Same.
So, particularly though, like Attack on Titan is a special case where I'm like, I have to wait for the dub because I love the dub version of Attack on Titan. I have watched it like multiple times, particularly season 1. I'm attached to these voices coming out of these characters. Like,
I don't know if I could actually handle. I mean, I did obviously for like the side story that I watched with it that's not dubbed, but I don't know if I can like really handle anyone other than Matt Mercer doing Levi's voice anymore. Like I just
the Japanese version is perfectly fine. It's great, but like I need Matthew Mercer saying, look at these big-ass trees.
Take a look at these big-ass trees.
Look at all these big-ass trees. God. That's a line that was said in a TV show. Look at all these big-ass trees.
Oh, my God. I love that.
I love that show.
But yeah, I watched just one episode of the next half of season 3, and I was like adrenaline pumping after it ended. I was like, holy shit!
Oh boy. We need to get together like on a Friday or something. Watch that.
And, but yeah, that's all I basically have to say about that because I've only watched the one episode and I don't want to spoil anything. And I know if you've watched the sub, you've probably seen it all at this point. So, shh. Please don't spoil it if you're in the comments. Please.
So is
we're
the
not
sub
manga readers. I'm waiting to experience it. Sorry.
Is the sub all the way over?
I think it is.
Oh, jeez.
For season 3 at least, I think it's still going. So yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, that's. I looked on MAL, my anime list. For any of you who aren't aware, it's basically like a place to log the stuff that you've seen, particularly for anime, and I think it has it for manga too, but I don't read manga. It logs it. The second half, quote unquote, of season 3 is 10 episodes long. So, which made me think maybe it's gonna end, but I've heard otherwise. So,
yeah, we'll see.
I don't know. But speaking of ongoing anime, I recently got into Mob Psycho 100.
Oh yeah, so I've seen you posting on your Twitter feed about that here and there.
Dude,
Please do tell.
this show is so good. Like,
What's it about?
well, it's being adapted by Studio Bones, the
All
gods
right.
of anime action scenes. They are the same people who came
Is it My
from
Hero Academia
Studio
as well?
Sunrise. They made Full Metal Alchemist,
Oh, okay.
Original and Brotherhood. They made Soul Eater. They made, yes, My Hero Academia, among other great things. And yeah, it's about a world where there are spirits all over the place, and there are psychics who can sense the spirits, and they basically have like, I mean, psychics can have different kinds of powers, but the ones that are typically the most powerful and being, displayed the most are the kinds where it's basically like telekinesis.
Right. Huh.
And the way that it's portrayed with the animation, like, is so amazingly, immaculately crafted, and in a way that it's like almost psychedelic how
Wow.
crazy the visuals are. But it's also, well, season 1 is great, but season 2 so far, I've only gotten like, I think 7 episodes in, because the dub is still airing,
Sure.
and every episode has been fantastic in season 2. And like the first episode got me getting the feels, and then like episode 5 was like literally one of the best single episodes of anime I think I've ever seen.
Wow. That's
And
saying
it
something.
both had
You've
crazy,
seen a lot of anime.
amazing animation, along with like really like well done character writing and emotional stuff. And then like there was another 2 episode arc after that, and that gave me the feels too. And it's just like, dude, oh my god, this show is so good. And it's like, it's entertaining throughout. It's funny. Like, it's really funny, actually. But
Right.
it also knows how to like be hype, and it knows how to, deal with actual like mature subject matter in a way that feels like it's actually saying something interesting.
Huh.
And I love it. I'm a big
Sweet.
fan.
Might have to check it out.
It helps that Bones is making it.
Oh, I
They
bet.
tend to elevate anything that they work on. So I said that this series is written, or at least the manga was written by the same guy who wrote One Punch Man.
Right.
Where that's a different case, because currently One Punch Man season 2 is airing as well, but it's not being made by Studio Madhouse, who made the first season, which
Uh-huh.
was amazing and everybody loved it. I don't know if I remember who's making this new season, but I've heard mixed things about it. But like,
Right.
the Mob Psycho, definitely worth checking out. I don't know if it's available in sub and dub everywhere else. Funimation.
You watch it on
tends to,
Funimation, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Funimation tends to hoard their dubs for a little while. I would say it's probably gonna be on Hulu at some point. I just don't know like in what capacity.
So, does Funimation have a contract with Hulu or something like that? Because I do see stuff like that on there somewhat frequently.
They probably
Um,
do.
I know Attack on Titan is there. It just takes some time for it to actually hit
I
the
think
dub
that
on there.
I'm pretty sure that they don't have one with Netflix, because I'm pretty sure that none of the anime that are dubbed on Netflix were done by Funimation.
Right.
It's like they have Death Note and the original Full Metal Alchemist. Well, they might have Brotherhood too.
I think they do have Brotherhood. Yeah, I think they have both.
But that might have been done by Aniplex, so I don't know. But yeah, Funimation. I'm subscribed.
Right.
Because I'm a weeb.
Thankfully, so that I don't have to be.
And I still like my American voice actors. I will watch in sub sometimes. I'm not against it.
Yeah, like The Abyss, when you watch that.
Yeah, Made in Abyss, because it was like, I had to see it right then. I was like, this show is out right now, and it looks amazing, and I need to watch it. And and
it was, right?
To be fair, the voice acting in the Japanese version was amazing. Like, and apparently it was mostly new voice actors, so they were like,
oh, really?
Really passionate about it, and it showed. Made in Abyss. I could talk about Made in Abyss for a while. That show's so good.
Any word on a season 3?
Well, season 2 hasn't come out yet. I remember hearing that they had announced a season 2, but it was like at the time that season 1 had ended when they announced it, it was like probably not going to come out for at least a couple years.
Right.
Maybe longer.
That's a long time. But
like, even if it takes a while,
you're cool that
it's like the first season on its own, even though it's incomplete, it feels satisfying. Like I wouldn't be completely depressed if I didn't get more, but I do want more. But like, it ends in a place where it's like, man, that was a story.
A little harrowing.
Yeah. Well, it's harrowing, but it's like, it also, I mean, the last few episodes of that show, as it exists so far, like, has a particular storyline that, like, I can't even say, because it's both terrible and wonderful at the same time.
Oh boy.
Like, definitely, you know, if you don't want people to see you cry, don't watch this around them. So.
Oh, I have no shame. I cry at everything media-wise. It's bad.
Yeah. And it is on Amazon Prime, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So if you have that, yeah,
I do have that.
Yeah, it should be there.
So I actually have access to watch it. Interesting.
And it's only 13 episodes long. The last one is like 2 episodes in length because there's a lot to cover.
Right.
But it's like, you know, it's a I would say it's a show that benefits from you watching through it in a relatively fast pace.
Right.
But it's short enough that it's like, you know, it's not much of a commitment, and it's just a good chunk of story that we've got, you know, that exists in the world.
Nice. I got you off on a Made in Abyss tangent.
I wasn't planning on talking about that, but I don't know, you know, I want people to see it. I want people to support it because I want more of it. So
it does, from what you've told me, it does sound like a very interesting show that I could definitely get on.
Yeah, I didn't really even say anything about it, did I?
Nope.
That's okay. Moving on. If you're interested, you'll know what to do. I do have one more thing. So
let's do it.
I put out a call on my social medias for people to ask us questions a little while ago. And one person left us a question.
Nice. We got a question. Cool.
It was actually My buddy David.
Oh, awesome.
I think you might get a chuckle out of this. But he simply said Marvel or DC.
As it stands right now, Marvel, and it's not even close for me. I love DC characters a lot. I grew up with both of them because my father specifically is just a massive superhero fan, so I grew up with all of the comics and all of them, but I've always had an attachment to Marvel like I haven't DC. Through more than just their movies, but through their comics and through all of the stories that have come with those. So, yep, it's Marvel for me. It's not close.
My experience is a little bit different because I think I mostly grew up with DC characters before I started there started being a lot of movies about these characters. I watched Justice League and Teen Titans and
for sure, and I still love all of those old shows like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and I
did have some Marvel shows, but those were mostly Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man in the animated series and Spectacular Spider-Man, which I'm still kind of upset and kind of not that you showed me that.
One of the greatest tragedies of the 2000s.
Yep.
But yeah, like I'd say as far as movies go, what's interesting to me is I think Marvel overall has more good movies, but I think that there's a maybe not like that much of a disproportion or I don't know, disparity, that's the word. A disparity of great or fantastic movies between the two of them at this point. Because, like, I mean, we've got
depending on who
the
you
Nolan
ask,
Batman movies.
Yeah, I guess when you count those, yeah.
I mean, the original Tim Burton Batman is still pretty great. I love Man of Steel.
I do too.
I know a lot of people
do not.
A lot of people love the first two Superman movies.
I love the first two Superman movies, but they're not Man of Steel for me.
Wonder Woman.
I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying that. Wonder Woman is just
it's pretty
so
great.
Good.
I like it a lot.
It's one of my favorite movies. No shame. Specifically superhero movies, I should say.
But I think that Marvel has a better track record, by far.
They're more consistent.
Yeah. Especially in this last decade, they finally like they figured out a formula. But and as much as I do enjoy that formula, I do like seeing where they buck the trend a bit, and that's why I love when we get things like Into the Spider-Verse. You know, like
Into the Spider-Verse.
Just a great movie.
That movie is
nothing
so
else.
Good.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah.
Like
I could talk a lot about that movie too. Into the Spider-Verse is excellent.
Last time I talked about it on this podcast, you hadn't seen it.
No, not yet.
And now you have.
I have. It's great. Everybody watch it. I haven't.
Let it be known, I am always right.
It's true. Even when you're wrong.
Yeah.
You're like a woman in that regard.
Oh. Okay.
Hopefully my wife didn't hear me say that.
What did you say?
Yep. Pretty much.
All right. Well, I think with that, we ought to wrap this thing up. What do you say?
Yeah? We calling it a podcast?
I think so.
That was a podcast, guys. We did it.
We did a podcast.
We
actually
months,
did it.
We still did it. Like I said, hopefully the consistency level will go up with these podcasts.
Yes.
That is the goal.
And production values.
Yes. That we will
wink,
see hopefully
wink.
next time. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited.
Yes. Would you like to plug anything, Dylan?
Not right now. I've got nothing to plug. I mean, right now I'm just kind of working on. I mean, I might have something next next podcast to plug. But right now, I mean, I was doing some Twitch streaming back in the day when we first started, but I'm not really doing that right now just because where we're living doesn't have the best of internet. But I'm actually working on writing.
Ooh.
So that's fun. I've been writing some, specifically a piece on microtransactions and how I believe they're ruining the gaming world right now. That article is almost done. Probably, and I have plans and goals to finish it by this Friday. And when I do, I'll probably try and publish that along with some other stuff that I want to get out. But yeah, I just really love writing. I kind of want to break into the gaming journalism world specifically, or just the entertainment journalism world.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just been kind of starting on my own with that. So
where are you planning on putting that when it's done?
I'm not positive. I think it'll be kind of on a blog, and I'll obviously have like relative links for that on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that. But yeah, I actually just need to be more active on Twitter in general. I feel like I say that every podcast. But I comment and I retweet sometimes, but I'm just bad about posting my own things. And I recognize that. Hopefully that'll get better. But yeah, other than that, nothing really to plug. I'm like Xbox 2020s or 20. Yeah, I'm like Xbox E3 this year. All coming next time.
Coming at a later date.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Twitter, I'm on there as well, but I do post my own things.
Quite frequently, actually. I love your tweets. They're great.
Oh, thank you. I like to joke that I'm like Kanye West, and that I'll go on a hiatus for a bit, and then I'll just like spit out a bunch of random stuff all at once.
Except your stuff is actually good. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm better than Kanye West. Take that.
At least your tweets.
You ain't got the answers.
None of
them. Well, I changed my Twitter handle since the last time that we did this podcast. It is now @ Jake Makes Movies.
Yes. Very appropriate, considering what you want to do.
My Instagram is the opposite because I couldn't get them the same. Because
Movies Make Jake.
So yeah, Movies Make Jake on Instagram. Jake Makes Movies on Twitter. And
don't they really make you as well?
It's true. It's true. It's like, it's a poetic kind of thing,
Right.
But I obviously I do this podcast on this YouTube channel where I would hope are listening to this, because I don't think it's going anywhere else.
Nope.
But I also have some cinematic short film projects that I've got in the works that are coming in the near future.
Yeah, I'm excited. Dude, you should plug your gaming channel too.
And I have a gaming channel. I
great.
do post on there. I still make videos because I like to, and it's good editing practice. And
Overwatch is fun.
And yeah, and I gotta flex my gamer cred.
What little he has.
But I'm mostly make Overwatch videos there. I've got a couple in the works right now, and it just never stops. It just never stops.
Always more Overwatch content.
Working. Playing Overwatch, probably maybe too much. I don't know.
You're not playing too much Overwatch. You're just not playing enough of other things.
and procrastinating on things that I need to do.
Aren't we all?
Yes. I think that's all the things, right?
I think so.
All right. Well, that was fun.
This has been Planned Rambling Podcast.
Thank you for wait. I'm trying to what voice should I use? Oh,
I don't know.
My old-timey radio voice. Thank you for listening to this podcast today.
Watching always reminds me of Legend of Korra.
We don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it anyways.
Oh, God. That happened.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
Catch you guys next time.
All right. Bye.
Hopefully next month, not 3 months.
Hopefully.